Hello. It's my birthday. And I love my birthday. Some people don't like their birthday, but I'm like, birthday outfit, birthday treats, birthday purchases. I think it's really important to celebrate yourself. And you get an excuse to do it, and other people are on board on your birthday. And I love celebrating other people too. But I have a lovely evening planned, a few different activities. I just wanted to take some time to be alone, so I was doodling and stuff and meditating and spending some time with my crystals. And what's very interesting about being here, starting a YouTube channel where I'm not only talking to myself, which I do all the time, but I'm trying to filter through messages that might be useful for other people, not just the things that I like to think about. And I did a tarot card reading yesterday for the summer solstice, and it was like information that I needed to hear, even if it doesn't benefit anybody else. And it started to unwind like a clock, right? There was a timer. I did that reading, and the true intent of its message actually like clicked for me around like maybe midnight or some point in the morning. It's fascinating that I am an insomniac back home in the States and here. Doesn't really matter. You know, it could be jet lag, but I'm a creature of the night. I like staying up and working at night. And it clicked with me, and I was talking yesterday about how the changes, the things that the universe is asking us to move through right now and kind of like gracefully bow out of, but also make space for the things that are truly meant for us. That whole process is going to manifest differently in different people's lives and circumstances. And I was thinking about it in one regard, but it also applies to other things that I'm going through. And there are certain things that are personal, so I'm not going to say it in a detailed way, but I was like, it's so obvious. And it's interesting to be transmitting messages or talking about information using the cards, and then every time I look up, it's a synchronistic number. It was 222 before it was 111. But there's a bit of a glare, so I have to lean in to see. I don't know, right? It's interesting to be a student of my own information too, because things have many, many different interpretations and many different meanings. And I have always wanted to talk more openly about the things that I believe in. And I used to be very hard on myself for not doing that. But I wasn't really able to filter down the information the way that I am today and now and going forward. And I believe in divine timing, obviously. And I think that that's why my journey has been like it has. But it also goes to emphasize that any, reading or guidance or thing, just the notion of being divinely led. And if you hear a message or, I don't know, a reading, or you go back to read a book that you read 5 years ago, to read it again, things are always going to resonate with you differently. It's just like how they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Your reception and perception of information will change. So for me to do the tarot card reading and then to let that information resonate with me on a deeper level hours later, pertaining to something totally different than what I was talking about, I think that there's some beauty in that. And I was talking with some people today about the notion of interruption. Someone was telling me about a collection of stories that somebody wrote. The title was Interruption. And each story was about different people's lives and how there would be this wrench thrown into the plans. And what they thought they were going to do took a radical turn, and they ended up in a different place, surrounded by different people doing something entirely different. And I've noticed a trend that with things that are divine, like divine intervention, things that are meant for you, right? They say things that are meant for you won't pass you by. You just have to see the bottom of my, whatever this is, kaftan. I'm obsessed with it. the things that are meant for you aren't going to pass you by. And sometimes this plays into the reading from yesterday. If you didn't watch it, I suggest that you go back and watch it. With the analogy of being like shaken from a tree like a monkey. Like if you don't choose to make changes, sometimes the universe will go ahead and send you tower moments, right? Or make those changes for you. And so I liked to hear my friend talking about there's a trend, right? And sometimes the most blessed things that go awry, you don't notice at the moment, but in time you see that that was really what was meant to happen. Even though it seemed like, you know, things were collapsing at the time. And that's certainly true for me. And it's like these little decisions. They don't seem to be so major, but sometimes a minor split in a fork in the road, you know, two parallel lines, you end up in very, very different places depending on the little decisions that you make. And I think that's beautiful. I had the pleasure of having two people that I met from this program come into town with me today and do some shopping and, you know, have lunch outside of our villa and just birthday activities and being out. And I wanted to get a mani-pedi, but it's appointment only, so. And I said to them, it's just so nice that that I'm spending my birthday with you and you're like, they're lovely people and I didn't know them, you know, last week. I didn't know them a year ago. We may never meet again. It's just lovely the way the world turns and the world works. I am gonna pull a few cards. Ooh. I didn't think that I was going to pull a few cards, but I am going to pull a few cards. Not for anything, just to support more of like a clarity of message, because this is going to be a short video, I can tell, and I mean that. I never mean it when I say it, but I've got things to do. I've got Prosecco to drink. Another omen or synchronicity for anybody who may hear this, I saw what I thought was an emaciated / young coyote last night. What's interesting is that when the sun goes down, these group howls start up, these dogs. I believe they're, you know, feral or stray dogs from like neighboring little towns. We're in this little, you know, we're in the province of Umbria. There's little hill towns, small little towns. Some of them have no shops at all, you know, they're just little houses. And there's dogs that maybe they're like mating or like, I don't know, roughhousing in the dead of the night, but it's just like howling. And to be honest, it's kind of like how it is in the States for me with coyotes. There'll be a group howl that I can hear when I'm not able to sleep at night. So I assumed that it was a coyote, but I believe it was a fox. It was a fox that I saw last night. And I don't have my animal spirit deck with me on this trip. What else came through? Because I was processing, thinking, meditating. And I said to myself, I have more to add on to the type of messaging that I was getting yesterday. But of course, now that it's left my mind, it mustn't be meant to be. I'll allow it to come or go as it needs to. This is apropos, that being said, 8 of Wands. So swiftness, movement, communication of ideas. Okay, I am getting a message. It's very important right now for people to speak your truth, okay? Lapis lazuli. You can even wear blue, have something blue on you. That will assist in the facilitation of opening a throat chakra. Something I said to a friend about 3 weeks ago was that every time you feel a certain way, regardless of whether or not you think you're correct or not, regardless of how you think other people will receive it, if you don't choose to speak your truth or somehow honor your inner state, you know, like inner child, like pretend there's a defenseless part of you, you know, an inner child, an innocence, and it feels things, right, as children do. Sometimes children don't feel like something is right, but they can't speak up, or the adults don't take them seriously, that type of thing. So if you are an ally to that inner self, every time you choose not to vocalize that truth, you're not doing right by your throat chakra. And if you continue to do that, you keep, your thoughts to yourself. I'm not saying say everything that comes into your mind. Of course, you have to be discerning and very, very tactful with the way you speak, but also kind of do these quick assessments. The more you do it, the quicker the process will get mentally. For me, it's like, okay, I feel this way. Why do I feel this way? What are my needs given these emotions, right? Is it necessary to communicate? What does the other party need to know? How do I have all parties' interests at mind? You kind of go through a little checklist, and then it's like, this is calibration in the mind. It will show you, your mind, your intuition, if you start to do that type of self-reflection in real time on an ongoing basis, what you need to do and how you need to act. And with there's a new kind of lizard. It's black and white and spotted. It's really cool. I'm not going to show you, but just take my word for it. 1111 as I look up. Maybe I will try to show this lizard. They're real fast, so every time I try to go talk to them, they leave. They're not very social, but with the Eight of Wands, okay? It's important to honor the stuff that pops up in your mind, even if it's, foreign thoughts or feelings. And this ties into what I was saying yesterday about different Akashic bleed-throughs, right? Timeline healing, simultaneous selves, being more privy to the elasticity of time and space, wherein you can consider that your own existence transcends the life and the reality that you know as your waking self. And the ladies that I went out with today, we got into an interesting conversation over lunch about the fact that who is to say that this is awakeness, this is life, right? We have all had very rich and lucid and vivid experiences in a sleeping state, but in a conscious mind, just as conscious a mind as this life. And my experiences in the astral with lucid dreaming, it's just as physical, right? It's just as real. And culturally, we don't have a great acceptance of that. People are like, okay, and so what? Well, it actually has many implications. I've said this before in previous videos, but I think implications might be one of my favorite words in the human English language, because right, what I just talked about with honoring the throat chakra and trying to speak truth on an ongoing basis. By the way, I don't know if I ever got this message fully out, but it is important right now with the changes that we're going through. Welcome to summer, by the way. To speak our truth and honor the ideas that come through our minds right now, because with the solstice, with summer, right, spring is a time of things coming back online, rebirth. Plants will begin to bloom again. The sleepy nature of the land stretches its arms and opens up to a new cycle. And by the time we get to summer, that growth is full-fledged, right? And it peaks throughout the summer, and then things die off. So, personally, or anybody who has seasonal affective disorder, it's a very illuminated time, right? Literally, the sun is in the sky for the longest amount of time. And there's, deep implications and symbolism of that, right? Ancient cultures knew it. That's why the solstice is a celebration of the light. And why I feel very blessed to be born at this time. My mother has told me that her labor with me was just 3 hours, and that I just came right out, ready to come into the world. And by the way, the things that I was talking about with what that message from yesterday truly meant for me, what do I actually need to change? What have I been in denial about? What could I do to help better support myself actually achieve the things that I say that I want, that I'm working towards in my life right now? It was one of those things that's like too close. It's so too close to there's a saying, I'm not placing it right now, but like, you can't see your hand in front of your face type thing. So obvious. Something that I was thinking too big. So that might be important as well for anybody. Like, maybe you need to look a little bit closer to home. This could be something that doesn't seem like something you can change because it's been so habitual for so long. It has been part of your life, or part of your outlook, or part of your routine, or part of your way of doing things for so long that you forget that you even have a choice over that part of your life and your choices, or the quality of your mind. Back to the dodecahedronic prism. That's not a word, by the way, and it should be. I don't know how else we'd use it. Not too many things in the natural world have a dodecahedronic appearance. I have an example. Isn't this gorgeous? I lament the little, dings it's gotten through travel. Oh, I did have a turnover. Page of Wands. More wands, right? I'm actually going to read from the book, The Eight of Wands and the Page of Wands. And 1, 2, 3 cards from the top, please. 3 of Wands. We got all these cards yesterday. So funny. 2, 9 of Wands. It's just wands. And the 2 of Cups. Sweet. Harmony. Soulmates. It makes me think about, and what's at the bottom of the deck? The 6 of Swords, right? Going to new places. And on the bottom of that, or underneath that, is the moon. So again, more synchronicity from yesterday. But I was going to say, with the 2 of Cups, it makes me think about the notion of interruption, or things changing in your life. And we just don't like change. No matter how old you get, people are like, but I didn't have this in my plans. And it's like, you gotta adjust. We need to be adaptable and trust that we're not, even if we don't know how something's going to turn out, and even if it causes anxiety or strain, in order to, accommodate that. I actually think of a mother, a woman growing a baby, the cycles of pregnancy. That's deeply uncomfortable to do. The body goes through so many changes, and they start happening very rapidly, and it's physically uncomfortable. Labor is, in many women's, I'm sure, most painful experience physically that you could have. But it's birth, right? So a lot of uncomfortable things require deep levels of discomfort, and I would never want that to be misconstrued to mean like, because we want to trust our intuition, and our intuition sometimes can tell us that when things are uncomfortable, or more like fight or flight, not intuition, right, then you move away from them. If this doesn't feel right, then it's not for me. So there's a delineation that we have to make within that. Because what ends up happening is that we receive triggers, as I mentioned yesterday. Everything that happens on a day-to-day basis, like in your life, it will trigger you in some way, even if you don't realize it. It's why you say the things that you say. It's why you choose to do the things that you do. And I could just mean that if you're sitting at a stoplight and it turns from red to green, that triggers you into driving your car again, because you don't have to think about what that means. It's a micro example. Then we have macro applications of that too. But the intuition, unless you have a close working relationship with it and you know how to feel it, and you are keyed into the way that that can show up in your body. For instance, I get like shoulder taps and certain twitches that for years I was like, I have a funny nerve ending, like, not really knowing. You can ask for the universe, or whatever you believe in, your body, your own mind, your higher self. You can ask for it to show you things in a certain way, right? Like, I know sometimes if I get certain taps, it is meant for me to know that I need to strengthen my energy field because there's somebody around me whose energy I don't want to walk away with. It's my cue to tighten up my defenses, or take what I mentioned yesterday, that iridescent working matter, right? Light, God, spirit energy, that beautiful thing that I like to pull down from the ethers and work with, infuse into my activities, imbue into my drawings, cast over people who are homeless and begging for money if I see them on the side of the road. I completely lost my train of thought, but I know that I was going to get back to saying that if you don't have that understanding of your intuition, you can ask for a system to be developed. Because sometimes we mistake ego or those fight or flight primal instincts as intuition, and we can say, well, I have a gut feeling. I know it. I know that this is wrong. And that can be the loud mind, the chatter, right? Again, I used an analogy the other day about a cool slate bottom rock, bottom of the ravine, the most subconscious, deep, unacknowledged level, where like the soul seat, where your truth actually lives. All the chatter, all the river, all the flowing, that's not a place to make calculated, aligned decisions from. But we often do because we feel so strongly about the information, that our brain and our body is telling us to do. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't run if a tiger's chasing you. But more so that in life, if we have an experience and it damages us and it hurts us, we will run from something similar in the future. And it's ironic because then it might, continue to come up until we learn to not run from it anymore. And I'm going to mention my lunch again today from being with these two ladies, because one of them, we were talking about dream states, and one of them said that somebody said to her that if there's a monster in your dream and you're running from it, to be able to become lucid enough to turn around and be like, this is a dream and I don't have to run from this. That will change the way that you operate in your waking life when you wake up, because that's a muscle. And I told her, it's just insane that you said that and used that example, because I have a video, it's called Stories from the Astral, and I posted it. It was recorded over a year ago. But I basically went through this spiritual boot camp where I was taken into another realm, and I worked with spirit guides, and they did these mind exercises with me where I was in a campus, in a safe space. I call it a campus because there were these beautiful buildings made out of this beautiful light material, stuff that I call silica, that I don't really know what it is. We were in there and they split my consciousness and they put me into a simulation while I was still sitting with them. So I was with them, but I was also, doing these different exercises where I would walk down a hall of mirrors and I could see an ogre with a flail chasing me, and then they would be talking to me simultaneously. And as my impulse, I would run because it felt very real. It was lucid. I was like, I was conscious, and I felt like I was there for 3 weeks, by the way, but I was only asleep for 2 hours. And from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. on April 21st, 2022. And so they were coaching me, and they said, yes, you're running, but the faster you run, the faster it'll chase you. If you slow down, you can, like in the movie Inception, like a house of cards, that's what they kept saying, that's what I kept seeing. Collapse it. And it will do so instantaneously, because in the higher realms, there is not this physical matter through which energy needs to pass. Things can be manifested instantly and demanifested instantly. And so I had the opportunity to strengthen the very same muscle that we use on Earth to fuel things and keep them active, or collapse things, right, and not fuel them. That's why, like, if I say something, I'll be like, that's not my story. I don't claim that. I don't fuel my energy to that outcome. I don't want that as part of my life. Because it's the same muscle that you use to turn around and face the thing and collapse it. That same muscle is what you use to do that here on Earth, but the difference is that it doesn't happen automatically. It has to take time for the energy of disengaging or the energy of choosing to fuel something, say something that you're trying to manifest or a positive vision, the energy has to move through the density of this reality in order to create the change. So determination, energetic, impulsiveness, passion. Totes. 3 of Wands. Well, actually, we had the Page as well, right? Because the Knight and Page are very, the Knight is like a step up, a higher seat. Page, enthusiasm, travel, creativity, and exploration. It's very, I love the tarot. And then we had the 3 of Wands, and just look how like similar these visuals are, right? You can't see either of their faces. They both have a walking staff, right? It's communicating about a journey. I mean, I'm physically traveling right now. I know that a lot of people or anybody who watches this might not be, but it's aligned with the mental, like the metaphorical, you know, let your mind travel. Let your creativity in this time of illumination at the solstice be illuminated. And again, with throat chakra, I don't know if the camera will pick up just totally how exquisite this is, but it's almost like it's got gold flecks in it. Yeah, 8 of Wands is action, balance, change, and productivity. So again, things are changing. And I get like a communicative vibe off of this in conjunction with all these other wands. I can't believe we had so many wands, and I did shuffle. And then 2 of Cups being like complete harmony. I think too about the magic of kindred spirits and being able to encounter people that you feel an affinity for, and how light and fluffy and beautiful the energy of meeting someone who you feel connected to is. I think that there's a lot of potential for us right now to make changes on an individual level that put us in alignment, right? We had the star yesterday. Put us in alignment not only with things that are more meant for us in a life pathway, but also the right people. Because without people on your journey, you would just be alone. I'm just gonna cut the deck. It's the 10 Swords, which also came up yesterday. So endings, being able to, and the 9 of Wands, and the 5 of Cups is coming back into my mind from the reading from yesterday. And what I was saying was, it's not going to do us very well to fixate on what hasn't worked out. Again, with all these wands, right? This creative energy, this mental space. And what I was just talking about like, there is a very real world outside of this realm. It's not just whether or not you believe in it, right? And I do have, I'm taking screenshots of certain declassified CIA documents from like the 80s, right? This stuff is so old. People have no grasp on the extent to which we are truly drip fed. How much certain things, technologies that people would deem like actual magic are more integrated into our, society than we could even imagine. There would be too strong a cognitive dissonance for most people to accept, I think, like the state that the world's actually in if you suspend your disbelief and allow these things to be true. And it's just hilarious because at this point it's all declassified, but it's called a soft disclosure. It's a quiet disclosure. So all of a sudden it's all just available, but there was never, any media outlet because it's all owned by the same thing. Being like, attention, we have new information about the nature of reality. And it will never be like that, right? All it will ever do, and by that the machine, or the Matrix, whatever. We'll just continue to try to feed the distractive material to be consumed that keeps us like copper coils in a battery charging something that we cannot even see. So what I was going to say is that with the Ten of Swords, it's not because of the innovative energy of creativity, traveling new frontiers, the potential to let go and move on and create with that muscle of, I'm going to apply my intention to what I want in life. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be maybe perhaps some hardship or some grief or some loss at this time. So back to the personal example that I was talking about, where I had this kind of moment of resonance in the night where I was like, I get it. I see what I have to do. There's a bittersweetness to that, because without going too detailed, it has to do with, a personal habit that hasn't served me. And it's not going to be easy to stop doing that, right? It's in the realm of vices, I'll just say. And we all have them. And, so, that's kind of a watered down example, but my point in saying that is that there's a big difference between acknowledging that there is, a sense or an amount of mixed emotions, and then fixating. It's a very fine line, but you can tell if you're walking it properly, if you feel the emotions and then you're able to release them, if they persist, or if they take you lower. If to feel an emotion takes you lower, then yeah, you go to the low place, you process, you release. Again, ask to be shown what you need to know from certain experiences and things. But then the idea is that you feel lighter. When we don't process our emotions in real time, then they will always, take you lower, whether or not you are aware of that, I guess. There was something else I was gonna say. Eight of Swords, yeah, okay, so a stuckness. She cannot see that there are swords to cut herself free right behind her. Similarly with this habit, it's like, that's the thing keeping me stuck, and I'm choosing to engage with it, and I have what it takes to free myself from it. I think that's enough for now. I do. I'm gonna do basically like a prayer. You can stop watching or keep watching. Of course, everybody can do as they please in this life, or should be able to. At this time, I release any and all energy that does not belong to me to the universe, for the universe, to make it whole. I ask to continue to be shown the signs that illuminate my most aligned path forward. Thank you, angels, ancestors, saints, guides, God in the universe, for protecting me and guiding me in this life. Thank you for helping me to live in a kind and compassionate manner. Thank you for helping me to make the changes that I am being guided to make and release all fear. Thank you for giving me the ability and the knowledge to transmute any and all fear into the light. Thank you for helping me alchemize the creative energy that flows through to manifest in the best possible way. Thank you for all the magical people in my life. Thank you for all of the experiences that I am being blessed with. Thank you for looking out for my loved ones, my pets. I pray that you spread a blanket of light and protection around all the children of God who need it most in the world. Please help for people who connect with the light to anchor in more of it. Connect with like-minded souls so that more and more people can be awoken to their truth. And release that which does not serve them. I pray for strength during this time of healing and transformation. I pray to be able to see the signs and heed the advice and the guidance of my intuition with clarity. Jesus Christ. I don't really pray on camera, so that's something I don't really do. I simply did it because it's my birthday and it's a very special day and the energy is very special, and I know for a fact that will, if somebody's interested in receiving that and what I wanted to achieve in my energy by saying that, then it will be beneficial. But it's slightly awkward. I don't know how to pray out loud on behalf of others at this time. Because everything's consensual, right? Everybody has beings that look out for them, guardian angels and whatnot, but they will not do things in your life or act on your behalf unless you ask them to. They need permission, right? We as people have free will. That's why a lot of people who disagree with certain spiritual concepts, it's all about free will. It doesn't mean it's not true. It means that you're exercising your free will to not engage with how magical life can be. And there are legions of angels coming to the world, coming very, very present, not coming to, they don't come from anywhere else, right? The dimensions, the different layers of reality, with space and time being an illusion, they're all right here anyway. You don't have to go very far to feel held and comforted by divinely guided, loving beings who want to help you. There's also a very strong ancestral energy right now for me personally, but I also heard, I forget whose video I was watching. I posted something like this on my personal Instagram. It was like, the energy, there is scientific proof that trauma creates a scarring pattern in the genetic code. So that's physical, right? They say that if you unwind your DNA, it can wrap around the world like 7 times or something insane. So we're packed, right, with information that informs every little thing about us. And people don't understand that we have some agency over how we realize our DNA. A lot of people on the planet function on a carbon-based DNA, but when we do certain light work, you can transition into having a crystalline-based DNA, but I digress. When you inherit from ancestors, right? This is bloodline, trauma, ancestral healing. there's a great duty and a responsibility to know yourself, because you're not just healing yourself, you're eradicating certain patternistic, like, you could almost see them as mutations or distortions, right? And I'm not going to really go all eugenics on anybody, and I do believe that things are somewhat perfect, right? Even in this space of duality where there's great suffering and great pain. That's inescapable. That's what it means to be here in this life. And great love. But that's why, certain spirits or non-physical entities, it's like, this is the place where people, it's a blessing to come to earth and manifest on earth because of the richness of that experience. Other beings, and you can cast all this away if you don't believe in it, but there are certain beings who are so high vibrational that they don't need language, they're completely telepathic, they don't need food because they're like light, right? Their energy comes from within, or from the light or something, And that's almost boring, right? There's no mystery. It's not like, I wonder what she's thinking. Like, it's not like that. It's all more connected. And that's not like in the next 5 years, but like over the course of hundreds of years. There's a theory, right? People say that certain extraterrestrials are just us in the future. I do think that within our lifetime, we'll live in a way where everybody's at different places on their journey, but for a lot of people, we will start to understand how we read each other's energy all the time, and you can't really lie through your energy. And so it's uncomfortable to open up to that, because then you have a lot of corrections to do. Like, really, what is the quality of your mind? Are you a judgmental person? If everybody around you knew all of your thoughts, would you be okay with that? Would you have unkind things to say? And if so, why? Again, every stage of this must be met with a attitude and a heart of non-judgment, or else you're just gonna, pull yourself out of it and not be willing to do it. Because the inner child wounding, or the wounding from any point along your path earlier on in life, is like, I know this and it hurt me before, and so it's wrong. Like, I'm not willing to do, there's an automatic thing that takes place that shuts us down, because we were not treated with the non-judgmental, open kind of love that heals, because the person who did that to us was also not treated with it. So we'll live in a way where we can be in a lot more harmony with the people around us, because there's an understanding between people that it's not like, we're going to be fully telepathic. Eventually, totally, yeah. Who knows, Nothing's set in stone, but everything's already ever happened. It's like what reality do you want to live in? What timeline do you want to manifest? There's different realities all over this world. It's just insane. This goes back to what I was saying with travel and the importance of stretching your energy into other spaces. Especially because, like, right now, me and my energy, I can connect very easily to the energy of, like, my friends and family back home in the States, because I know what it feels like to talk to them and be with them, and there's still a closeness there, right? I don't feel so far away. And that means that, like, the remoteness, like me being here physically, but being able to connect that energy, I see, like I said before the other day in a different video, that map that has the golden threads and sinews that connects everything and everybody that I've ever interacted with. It's got this expansiveness to it right now, and I'm able to hold space in Italy and be here and still connect my energy back home. I don't want to get on a tangent. Of course I said it was going to be quick, and it's 44 minutes, but this also takes into account how important it is to shield and protect your energy, okay? And how people can connect to you remotely. Have to be very careful about what we post on the internet. This is why I've been so afraid to post any of this, because if you're not protected energetically, and I don't mean like this, I just mean like share my ideas in a more transparent and authentic way without being afraid of like being judged or somebody being like, you're wrong. Whatever. I don't need to be right. I'm just having a good time. When you offer up something in the form of like a post on Facebook or whatever it may be, you are allowing for anybody at any point to attach their energy to that. And you feel the effects of that, right? That's why it must be real hard to be like a Kardashian or something, because people are just, they get spammed energetically, right? That's not really part of this message. I'm just getting bitten by bugs and I can't add to this collection of bug bites. So the universe is pushing me to move on from this lovely moment and go enjoy the evening. So I hope whoever sees this is doing incredibly well, and again, happy solstice.